So welcome back. We've decided to switch it up today in the house of topping, and bring you to a different area to be able to record this episode. I've also decided to change it up, and we've got 2 cameras currently going at the minute, which is exciting. And also, if you're watching, very long microphone. So this episode, we're going to pretty much just dive straight into it, because I think it's going to be slightly hard-hitting for a few people and eye-opening for others. And that's why I called the episode Feeling the Fear. There's so many people that are petrified to go out there and do what they want to do in their lives, and, you know, just take the accountability of knowing that you are in control of the situation that you're currently in. I've said it before, and it's like, you have to be able to control the controllables. And the things you can't control, you can't beat yourself up about it all the time. You just can't. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for the people around you. But more importantly, it's not healthy for you. You know, I don't know where we got it, where we're so concerned about everyone else's feelings that we forget to think of our own. Our own are still completely valid. There's been a lot of times where I've felt scared, and I've not really told anyone about it. I love to think that on the outside I come across as quite a confident, buzzy, young individual that, you know, seems to have her shit together, and that's not always the case. There's been a lot of times that I've been petrified of what's going to happen in my life, and I don't really know where it's going to go, and I don't know what's going to happen at the end of it, and in a way that's kind of the beauty of it all. When I got my first significant injury, which was a hernia, I didn't really think too much about it. I think at the time I really wanted to step back a little bit. I really didn't know where I was going. I was kind of at the beginning of everything. I didn't really understand the fucking audacity, apparently, that I had of deciding that I wanted to be bigger than I was. And the hernia physically made me stop, and I had to deal with it. And, you know, the slow comeback of getting back into the gym and getting back onto the football field, because that was when I was playing football at the time. And, you know, it was what it was. It was one of those situations where I felt like, meh, it's okay. But I think it was also a realisation that when I stepped away from the gym for a little while, I actually realised how much the gym was a good thing for me, mentally especially. You know, we're thinking that hernia surgery was back in like 2017 or 18, I don't know, somewhere around 18, I think, 18. And I wasn't really too concerned. I didn't really care about it. It wasn't until I ruptured my Achilles in September 2019, straight after my birthday. It was a great time, that I was scared, I think, for the first time ever in my life. For me, I've been scared for other people around me, but for me, I felt that fear of, I was being told that I might not walk again without a limp, you know, or as they said, my gait would have been affected. I felt like a horse in that minute. And I really did worry at that point, because back then I think the gym was one of my escapes. It was where I could just be myself, do my own thing, you know, like be around people that I really appreciated. And then it was all just taken away from me. And I was walking around in a moon boot and relying on other people, and that was something that I've never done, really. I've never really relied on anyone else to do anything for me. So that was scary. That was really scary. And I think that was the start of a very big mental depreciation in my life. And, you know, that's something I haven't shied away about talking about. Now, obviously at the beginning I didn't want to talk about it. But I think sometimes fear is a good thing. And I'm going to say that now because it's probably easier for me to say it now. And after I tell you this next part, people are probably going to go, yeah, of course you're going to say it's freaking easier now. Because you got through it and everything was okay at the end. It's not always okay. But, you know, I put myself in the bin. And that's what, like, in the bin is something I like, a terminology I like to use a lot. And I really put myself in the bin in the sense of, like, I mentally tapped out. I pretty much physically tapped out when I did my Achilles. I gained so much weight. I think when I first ruptured my Achilles, I couldn't have been more than like 73 kilos, and then I was 85 by the end of my rehab. I was big. Like, I was big for me. It's like, I think people would look at it and be like, you weren't that big. But I was big for me, you know? And I think that was the problem for me. And I just didn't care anymore. I really just didn't care. And I guess the caring side of it, it wasn't because I didn't care, it's because I was scared to care. Because if I had to care about it, it meant that I had to feel it. And I didn't want to feel it. I didn't want to feel anything at that time. I just kind of wanted to be left on my own. And that wasn't going to happen. You know, I wasn't in a situation where I could just be left on my own. And, you know, so yeah, it was a hard time for me. And there is a book, and it says Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, by Suzanne Jeffrey, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. You could, if I'm right, you can quote me on it. It's a great book. It's a really good book. And it's about taking that sort of like unknown step into a direction that is unclear. And I think one of the biggest challenges for me was when I did go into debt. And, you know, like, that was hard. I probably could make it sound really freaking easy now, but it was hard at the time. I lost a lot around that time, and 95% of it was because of my own choice. I got rid of it. I gave up, in essence. And it's because I was scared. I was scared of admitting that I wasn't okay. I was scared of letting people see that, because on social media we can paint such a perfect picture of how our lives look, and it's not fucking realistic. You know, I was smiling, saying that I was having a really great time. I was doing really well, and I wasn't. I was an absolute fucking mess. And it was just one of those. I guess it was the point, and I haven't really dipped on this before, I don't think, of when I really started to feel that fear. And that's why I've called this episode Feeling the Fear, because to be honest, I wish that me now sitting here talking to you, doing this podcast, could really go back to Emily in 2020. I really wish I could. And I wish I could just sit in front of her and just go, look, I know you're petrified. I know that you're scared of failing and being a joke to everyone. And, you know, everyone who doubted you in the beginning was going to be right. And you just want to prove everyone wrong. And I promise you that it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to do this. It's going to be hard and it's going to suck. And you're going to have to do things that you've never done before. Like, feel your feelings. And you're going to do that, and it's going to open up this entire new world for you. You're going to get so much better at business because you fucking sucked at it. You're going to get so much better because you actually learnt from your mistakes and you embraced it. And I think that's sort of the conversations that we don't have with each other anymore. And we especially don't have it with ourselves. Do you really want to have that conversation with yourselves where you tell yourself that you're shit? And you need to book up your ideas and get on with it? Because believe me, when I had to have that conversation, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I think if I could go back and just reassure her a little bit, it would have been nice. Because I'm not going to say it's not a scary place to be in, but fear is usually a subject because a subject of, what's the best way to say this? Fear is usually like a feeling that comes along with the potential of a new opportunity. You know? It's why, like, when I have to speak in front of people, or I've been invited onto podcasts, or, you know, like I'm mentoring people. You know, at the beginning I was scared. I thought, you know, this is imposter syndrome. I'm not really actually that good at this. Like, why would anyone believe me? And I was trying to talk myself out of it until I literally just turned around and I was like, you do know what you're on about. You've got it. You've tried and you've failed and you've built and grown and learned. And you're here today and you have significant reasons of why you are actually quite decent at what you do. And, you know, but it didn't mean that I wasn't scared of it. I was petrified in the beginning. I was petrified to open up a Merge Elite. I was excited in a sense of being able to do something new, but back then, I only had £1,000 to my name. Well, just over £1,000. It cost about 1,100 to start up a Major League. And that's all I had. That was all the money that I had. And I just put it all into this tiny little business. And we're getting on a bit now. We're going into our 8th year. And like, it's only been the last 2 years where I would turn around and say, like, I've done something good here. But I was a 24-year-old kid who had no idea about business, didn't know what they were doing, just wanted to do something different and did it. So I've self-taught myself the entire time. I think it was only about 3 years ago I actually invested into some sort of online mentor to just better direct me more than anything. And yes, he's been his weight worth in gold. But, you know, I did most of it myself. The foundational pieces I did myself. And I think that's like the fundamental thing that I could ever give advice to someone else about if you're scared of doing something is sit with it. Sit with that fear and just, what is it actually saying to you? What is it telling you? And think about that instead. Because if it's telling you you're scared because you're about to go into an unknown territory that you've never been in before, I get that. But you don't know what's on the other side of it. Guaranteed, if you're going to stand in front of me and about to bungee jump off a building or something like that, I might tell you that your fear is completely valid because you wouldn't see me fucking doing it. But yeah, I think, you know, Suzanne Jeffrey, I really hope I've got that right. The title of her book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I think that is such a good concept to live by. You know, as long as it's safe in a way, you know. I mean, though, everyone has to take risks. I've had to take risks. You know, I put it into very simple terms. I started a business nearly 8 years ago with 1,100. And how long? 3-4 years later, it was like £11,500 in debt. I felt the fear. I've been there. I've done that. I've got the t-shirt. I could fucking make it if I wanted to. But it's definitely made me a much better, well-rounded person from it. Sometimes I would love to just sit down with people and just help them. Just help them go through that process. Because I think people limit themselves so much because they're so scared about what's going to happen that they don't take one step. Life is not meant to be lived in one place. And that could be mentally or physically. You should move and adapt and see what's behind these doors. See what could be. See what might be. Whether that's within a gym or within your career or open up a business or within your relationships. Fear is not a bad thing, but we make it sound like it's the devil. Fear can be such an opportunity for growth. I really hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. I've not, you know, like someone was saying to me that I need to come up with a sign off. Like you need to sign it off somehow. I don't know what that's going to be. And at the minute, it's nothing. It's just, have a great day. I appreciate you. I love you. And catch you in the next one.